It's been so long since I've done a recommendation video, and with Christmas right around the corner, I had better get on it. Since this is so late into the season, I'm going to prioritize stuff that you can get right now. This will not be a, hey, find this on eBay for the Transformers fan in your life. This is a, get this on Amazon with 2-day shipping or find it in stores right this second. And to be clear, in order for a figure to get a recommendation from me like this, it has to be the best of the best. A figure that I don't just think you won't dislike, but something that I think that you will absolutely love almost without question. But before we look at all those, your likes! Please give, and maybe subscribe. And you may think that I'm breaking the rule that I just laid out with this very first figure, and you may be like, hey, you already recommended this forever ago. But you don't understand. Siege Optimus Prime is still available on Amazon for normal prices right now. Yes, as of this video, this is still the one Siege figure that you can get for the same price as when it came out. Everything else is like $80 now, but not the arguable best figure to come out of the entire line. And yes, I have recommended this before, and before, and before again, and I will do so in the future multiple times too. Do we have a more definitive Optimus with the 86 version? Sure, but if I could only have one, I would still choose it to be the Siege. It may be less definitive, but it is still incredibly fun on its own. It feels great. Literally everyone who's ever gotten one of these on my recommendation has told me that they didn't understand what I meant by hand candy until they held this, at which point now they're addicted to the experience and wish more figures could feel like this one does. And it's just doing its own interesting thing by being a cyberpunk Optimus. This figure will forever be one of my favorites of all time. A truly top-tier thing and an absolute miracle that right now you can get a brand new one in box, and you should not pass this up. Either requesting it for Christmas, giving it for Christmas, or getting one yourself for yourself any time of the year that you want. Hell, I'm tempted to buy one myself just to have it in box. And even if this version sells out, in the future there will still be eBay, and there are more than a few high-quality knockoffs of this thing that does stuff like upscale it and alter the transformation. Though they also alter the bridge of the nose, and I don't quite get why. The next obvious figure to give a recommendation for is 86 Optimus. There is no question now, outside of a mildly inaccurate head that there is already an upgrade kit for, this is the definitive Chug Optimus, and it's not even close. The people who say that the ER is better are just coping badly with the fact that they don't want to shell out the money for this. And I don't know if I myself can call this a commander. The thought that it's in the same size class as Siege Skyflyer would kind of really rankle me if I didn't also think of this as being $30 more expensive than the ER, which, when I phrase it like that, no, yeah, this is for sure a minimum of $30 better than that thing. I mean, there is a great argument to be made that avocado toast levels of overhyped ER Prime shouldn't have been that price to begin with, so if you dropped it to its deserved 30 like it rightfully should have been, then this is still too expensive. But I did feel like the Kingdom Rodimus was worth $60 to $65, and I also think that this thing justifies it better than that thing did. This is trying very hard to be worth the Commander price tag, and I think that it's doing enough to keep me from being frustrated at that price. I can respect it at least. This thing just has an aura. There is something so powerful that takes over when you look at this thing that just makes you want to start chanting, yes, over and over. I hate to do this to y'all, but this has the touch. Some essence that fills your heart with pride and nostalgia while looking at it. This is what others thought they saw when they were looking at Earthrise Optimus. But this time, it's real, and it has no downsides. Outside of a head that could be better, and posability that could have better elbows and knees, though already have perfectly serviceable ones, there is not a bad aspect to this thing. Though, I don't think that you want to pick this up for little kids. This is a transformation that parents are going to find themselves doing 10 times every 30 minutes if their children are young enough. And the transformation is just complex enough that will get very old very fast. But this is the complete package. It is everything you want from an Optimus. Now, it is a hot ticket item, so getting one might be a bit harder than I intend for this list. But some of them do exist in the wild right now, and you can get them on Amazon right now for inflated prices. So while for sure not everyone seeing this will have the opportunity to get one, if you do see one, don't miss your chance. Take it. Now I'm pulling off the hat trick with Optimuses, and I'm suggesting that you buy the Reactivate Optimus and Soundwave. Yep, another Optimus. And this one is also still on Amazon for a normal price. And while with every passing leak, and I'm finger quoting as hard as I physically can, and with every shred of proof, again, my fingers are hurting, only making the game look more and more dead than Brian Goldner, these figures still manage to rule enough that you should want them even if you have no connection to the game that will never exist. I mean, this is slightly over leader priced, but you are getting an Optimus out of it that's as big as a Commander, also finger quotes to an extent, and a big deluxe Soundwave, who honestly is way better than I anticipated. Like legitimately, I thought I was buying this box just for the mean-ass Mad Maximus Prime, but I'm honestly glad to have both, and I'd probably give Soundwave a light recommendation on its own if it were just a deluxe that you could buy solo. The worst thing about either of these figures is the head. They both have some weird animal vibes, with Optimus being kind of cat-like and Soundwave being kind of hawk-like. And while I do think that Soundwave is a nice bonus, the main event is surely the Optimus. Now his articulation is the worst of any of the figures I've shown so far in this video, but because of how cool and dynamic the sculpt is, every pose you put him in has this feeling of visceral power and badassness. And while the transformation does have some issues with its clearances, it's an interesting and different one. Plus, the alt mode has more balls than a stampede of Belgian blues who've been fed exclusively on a diet of Rocky Mountain oysters. They already released the Bumblebee from this set on its own, so maybe they will do the same with Optimus and Soundwave eventually, but right now you can still get these for a great price on Amazon. Seriously, don't turn your noses up at these because they are from a game that is dead in the water like it tried to go through the Suez Canal in 2021. Yes, this is the price of 2 Voyagers, but if you look at Prime like he's leader-sized, because if the ER counts, then so does this, then the Soundwave just costs you like $10. Oh, and the Bumblebee and Starscream 2-packs are also available, but I don't feel as strongly about them as I do this. However, the Bumblebee is being currently sold solo on Amazon for $16. So that's an amazing deal for that. Sorry if you click on this video in like a year. Now for the first not Optimus, and a figure that may not be able to arrive before Christmas because it's on Amazon but not on Prime, the Guardian Robot. I have not picked this thing up because 1, I have Omega Supreme, 2, it's relatively expensive, and 3, I do not have the space anymore. You have no idea what my collection has turned into. It's on the floor now. But man, does it tempt me every time I look at it. The color scheme makes me salivate. The blue hits so hard, and Omega Supreme was such a good figure. Legitimately one of the only Transformers to ever have a base mode that actually feels like a base. I mean, it's a little silly with how it has a road that just goes around it and nowhere else, but screw it. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to look like anything at all and be fun. And that's what this does. Plus, even the $400 or more MP offerings from third-party companies tend to have terrible, stubby rockets. This is impressive. It's gigantic and long, and I feel like I'm talking about a dick. It's erect. It also manages to be one of the only parts formers ever to have a fun transformation that feels like the parts forming is a feature and not a bug. That might partially be because part of it doesn't come off to go back on somewhere else, unless you are talking about the I don't know, are these wings? What do we call these? But instead, stuff comes off to just become new, separate things. The robot mode is pretty much as accurate as you are going to want it to be, and the posability is really good. Seriously, when I do a What's the Best Titan eventually, when I finally come to hate myself enough to go through the hell of making that, this will be fighting for the #1 position. It's that good. And if the only way that you can experience this mold is through the Guardian Robot, hey, at least it's a sick color scheme that you can even kind of pretend makes him not a Transformer. Seriously, this could be an unnamed NASA robot and no one would be the wiser. Next up is Legacy Gears, who on Amazon is like Voyager price right now, so that's not great. But on the Big Bad Toy Store, it's standard price, but will probably arrive too late. But what can you do? Other than, make this video at an earlier point when it would have been far more helpful to people. But that would require me to not be an idiot. So that's not happening. Look, I don't have too much to say about this one. Legacy Gears is just a wonderful, fun little deluxe, really epitomizing what the mini-bots can be at the deluxe scale. Unlike Cliff Jump ER, this doesn't parts form. Unlike Cliff Jump ER, this actually does have good posing. Seriously, I don't know why everyone praises that thing for that feature. I am sick of having to say this, but he's bad at it! And perhaps Gears' best trait is the transformation. It is one of those truly addictive pocket toy conversions that never gets old. You can slam this back and forth between its two modes like 5 times in 1 minute and have a smile on your face the whole time. He's just simple fun and a basically perfect Gears. A wonderful stocking stuffer, and if we're talking about one mini-bot, we might as well kind of talk about two. Kind of. I still see dead Ratchets and dead Bronze at Target. And while I don't want to dwell on them too much since they are definitely becoming really scarce at this point, Brawn was an excellent figure and Ironhide was also excellent. So if you are cool with the extreme battle damage versions, go ahead and grab these guys. I never did because again, my collection is half displayed on the floor at this point, so I need to save on the space where I can, but I really want them every time I see them. Both pose well, both are fun and look great, both have really good transformations, though Ratchet Hides does have one really frustrating step going into robot mode, and both alt modes are basically perfect. What more do you want? Lastly, something I just bought today after a month or two of searching. The Transformers 1 Matrix of Leadership kind of rules. Yes, I'm sick of Matrixes, but this is different. I don't need to fill a whole cereal bowl with this one, I can just eat it on its own and be full. Honestly, it's kind of smaller than you might expect. I mean, no wonder Ultra Magnus couldn't fit his fingers in there. I can't even get 86 Optimus's hand to fit through one of these slots. Maybe Hot Rod isn't the chosen one because of being worthy or getting to the Matrix before Ultra Magnus did, but just because he has really dainty hands that would let him use it correctly. The colors are wrong because this is based off the Transformers 1 version, and honestly, this is not G1 bias. The silver handles are just cooler. They have more color breakup and they make the center orb feel more important. And yes, this is not a Transformer. This does nothing but sit there and look cool. It doesn't even light up, which is a ripoff, but I can't pretend that I don't love this to death. This is just like one of those peak items that you never really think about needing till you realize it's available. It just ties together your fandom of this franchise in a really magical way. And I mean, you can use it for costuming if you want to wear it around like your Galvatron. And honestly, this is like exactly the size of a human chest, so you couldn't really make it bigger and have it look right. If you go to Walmart, don't let yourself pass this up if you see one, or really any of the figures that I talked about today. Every last one of them is worth adding to your collection. I know there are people out there who only want one representation of each character in their collection, and I don't judge those weirdos. But if you want a perfect Optimus, there's the 86. And if you want a a badass Optimus, there's the Reactivate. And if you just want a fun and unique Optimus that won't break the bank, there's the Siege. And then there's the perfect Gears, a near-perfect Guardian robot, great versions of corpses we all love, and a really interesting Soundwave, who you can sell if you really don't want it. I sincerely think that you will love all of these. Now you better get ready for the end of the year lists in like 3 weeks. And before we go, let's thank a channel backer. If you'd like to get on the wheel yourselves or join the backers Discord, you can become a channel member or join the Patreon. And this time it's Wild Times, an unofficial Zootopia audio drama with G1 Skylinks. With a name like that, yeah, you would pick the Dragon Cat, wouldn't you? And I can't blame you. G1 Skylinks, while not being something that I've ever handled, is just one of those classic, insane letter G1 figures, the motorized kind. And it's sad that they don't make figures like that anymore because they're so cool, having them just trundle along and annihilate your other lesser figures. Plus, Skylinks, while being a concept that you kind of need to get used to, it's just too cool to not love. An Autobot dragon that splits into a dino bird and a kaiju lion, but is also a NASA? Has there ever been a cooler sentence uttered? And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.